Hey, everybody, this is
Start off.
Dominic, DeAngelo of WrestleZone.com. Today's date is November 16th, 2020, and I'm happy to have with me here yet again the master of the diamond cutter, the master of DDPY, DDP. How you doing, brother?
Oh, great, man. I just got done filming I wanted to have, I've been shooting everything right now down in my basement. I've got like 4 cameras going, but I wanted to have a couple workouts that I shot at the PC with the production level that we have, so I can show, like, get better shots on stuff, because it's going to introduce our new workouts called DDPY Jacked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talk about that a little bit, because it's really neat. Like, there was a couple of those videos, like I mentioned off air, like that we were that it's all like in that area, and you're doing different things, and it's with Paige and a couple other people coming in and out of the mix too. Yeah.
Rick Steiner's boy, Bronson Steiner, great. I've had a lot of the boys in. Had Conan here last week. 2 weeks before that, I had Ted DiBiase and Mark Merrow. A lot of the guys, they're just beat up,
Yeah.
And Merrow's not. Merrow's in like crazy good shape, but he wants to get away from just strictly lifting weights and shit,
Right.
And the DDPY Jack straps, they're blood flow restriction straps, and it's called BFR. And it was developed by a Dr. Satu from Japan, and they were mainly made for rehab. And they were kind of like a blood pressure blow-up cuff, like where you pump them and it would blow up with air. Then you had to let the air out, then pump them back up again. If it's rehab, that's fine. But mine, as you know, is a flow.
Yeah.
So that didn't work for me. But the another company had a version of what I needed it to be, and then I started working with them, and that's why you've been seeing me for the last year wearing them, because once you wear them as part of the workout, it's kind of like if you've never used a heart monitor, and then you use a heart monitor, like you never want to work out again without a heart monitor.
Right.
Once you put these straps on your arms, I'm even wearing them on my legs now. Like I said, they were developed for rehab. I'm using them to make it a kick-ass workout that builds strength, density in the muscle, builds muscle mass. I'd read you something someone sent to me. Oh yeah, I can do it right here.
Okay.
One of the guys, I sent this out to about 12 guys and 3 girls who do my program pretty consistently, but about 50% of them were all weightlifters.
Oh, wow.
So they were doing the weightlifting and DDPY.
Yeah.
And this
combo.
this one guy, JJ, he's about late 40s. He's not that big a guy, maybe $180, $190. I think $180. But he can bench over 325. I mean, he's strong. He's really strong. And he's not on the gas. He's just a strong guy.
Yeah.
So he loves to move the weight. So I said, well, JJ, if we're going to do this, I'm going to need you to completely stop lifting weights for 90 days. He's like, no weights at all? I go, I'm trying to prove something. And he did this one thing online on YouTube, and I didn't ask him to do it. He just did it. And it was called DDPY versus P90X. And he broke it all down. And I was fascinated by the way he did that. So we've stayed friends. And I said to him, I said, I'll send you the straps, but I can't let you lift for 90 days. But let's see what happens. So get your highest lifts, whether it's 325 for 3, on the bench press or lat or squats or whatever the hell it is.
Right.
Where are you with the straps just doing the program? So he sent me this at 45 days in. It says It's a thread that's going to all the guys who are doing the program.
Sure.
I've been lifting weights for 5 days and doing DDPY 2 days a week for the past year or so. Since Labor Day, I've done nothing but DDPY jacked every day. No weights. Midpoint lifting test yesterday. On my heaviest sets, I lost no reps.
Whoa.
And then he put in parentheses, I lost 2 reps during heavy COVID time when my only alternative was light weights and high reps. On my lighter sets, I gained strength and a couple of reps. And this is the part I love. He said, massive surprise, since I've only been lifting air for the last 45 days.
Whoa.
Now, when you put the straps on and you jack them up,
Mm-hmm.
it traps the blood. And not all of it, but it really traps a significant amount of blood and restricts it from the moving back and forth. And if you've ever lifted weights, whether it's curls or bench press, or I don't care what exercise it is, as you're doing, just say, bench press, you really don't get stronger. Your blood isn't really filled with incredible amount, your muscle isn't filled with incredible amount of blood for the last couple of reps. That's why people will say, or true weightlifters, it's like you don't grow until those last 2 reps.
Yeah, yeah.
And this puts you immediately there. And I think you're going to see a lot of people within the next year or so, once I get this out there, lifting weights and using the straps as well.
Yeah, it's a good 1-2 punch, huh? I was fascinated by it. Like I was telling you, it's like you were like, crank him if you got him, and I'm like, what's he got on his shoulders? I was like, so during the videos and everything. So no, I think it's a really neat thing to incorporate into it. And so you've been doing it for a year, right? You said?
Yeah.
About a year. Wow.
And the fascinating spot for me, I was doing them probably about 6 months. And I have a video up on my YouTube and it circulates around. On my 64th birthday, I wanted to see how many 10-second push-ups I could do.
Yeah.
Now, the backstory to that is I've done 10-second push-ups. I've only done it twice.
Really?
And one time I captured it on film. The other time I did it without filming it. But I've tried to do 10-second push-ups numerous times. And except for those 2 times, I've fallen short and got 9. And a lot of times I didn't get 9. I got like 8, and I'm 8 10-second push-ups before COVID, before this surgery I had on my core because I had a hiatal hernia and I had to have a links put around my top of my esophagus. So the acid reflux would continue coming up, which is really great. But it was 7 weeks of no lifting. And while I was doing DDPY, and because I couldn't do anything.
Right.
So I got COVID, and then 3 weeks later, I had the surgery, or 4 weeks later. And while I was out just hiking with my girl, I was climbing up this one rock, and I couldn't figure out my footages, and I tweaked my shoulder, and it's been bad for 3 months now. So I'm not even trying to do it right now. But on my 64th birthday, I not only got 10, I got 11. And when I got 11, I thought, could I get 12? So I lowered on that 12 and held for 10, and went down for 10, held for 10, and then as I was coming up, 10, 9, 8, I think it was around 7, I have to lower one knee. And from there, I got the rest of the way up. But I was blown away that I got, 11 and 2/3 10-second push-ups. So how do you get stronger in your mid 60s? Like it's unheard of.
Yeah.
So it just proved everything that I said about, that I'm saying about the straps and what they do. And like JJ, heavy weightlifter,
Hmm.
um, especially for his late 40s. And he didn't touch a weight for 45 days and didn't lose anything.
Didn't lose nothing. That's crazy
Yeah.
too. Late
So,
40s and everything. You think about that.
yeah.
Yeah. And like, oh man, people incorporating that too, like into sports or whatever they do, like at pro athletes and everything. I bet that can do wonders for them too coming up.
Well, it's just like anything. It's just rehab.
Hmm.
And eventually, we have that whole rehab program called DDPY Rebuild. I'll introduce it into there as well.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to introduce it into people who really love the program and love to get their ass kicked in a workout.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of those now. But a lot of people who can't do anything, and they work their way up. And what's really gratifying is to see someone start sitting in a chair
Hmm.
in our chair force workouts, then stand up and stand strong and use the chair to balance and create, create core strength, break up scar tissue, and help them become more mobile. And then they start becoming stronger. And then the confidence starts to come back. And then before you know it, they're doing like my diamond cutter workouts, which those workouts are really challenging.
They very
Not,
much are.
yeah,
Yeah.
not as much as the jacked, but they're right up there.
The jack takes it to a whole nother level, huh? It's like right up there with that.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
But it's like anything. If you know how to modify, when you're blown up, if you know how to modify, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
If you insist on not checking your ego before you start to work out, it might just kick your ass.
Right. There's been so many times where I'd be doing something and I would have to modify, whether it's like the side plank where you're like lifting going in the starfish position almost. And I had to lower to a knee and stuff, but there'd be you like in the background, you're like, come on, one more. And I'm like, damn it, DDP, you're getting me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. My goal is just for everybody to try to keep up with the 6 months from 65-year-old.
yeah, right. So something I wanted to talk about too in general was and something that makes me one of my favorite people and favorite interviews is that like the positive attitude and kind of having that come across in all certain ways, even just on Instagram. You just made a post there where like somebody like there's a graphic of cartoon eating an image and then another one side by side where it's like negativity and all this stuff, but then there's other things that are more healthy for you and positive stuff. And even you mentioned I think it's the Jake documentary where you told him to stop wearing all the negative T-shirts and stuff like that.
That's so big.
Yeah.
And actually, that never got filmed or made it, but I talk about it whenever I talk about Jake. He came downstairs. We're living this in 2012, and I had marble counters, and he like punched the marble counter where there's no give there,
No.
And then he hurt his hand, and he's like, I'm such a loser. Son, I go, dude, stop saying that. And then I just grabbed him by the arm. I said, come here, let me show you something. And we walked in the bathroom, and I said, what do you see? And he goes, a fucking loser. I said, stop saying that. I go, look at what your shirt says. And he's wearing that shirt in the beginning, like in the first, right after we show who Jake is, when we get into the house, in the first couple of minutes, there's a scene where we're talking and he's wearing the same shirt. And it's a white shirt and the color is all red. And the color is a skeleton. And he's holding a flag, like waving this flag that says, wasted youth.
Oh, man.
And I said, when you look, you don't have to look in the mirror to look at this. Subconsciously, Jake, look what you're wearing. Like you tell yourself every time you wear that shirt, that you're a loser, that you wasted your youth, that you wasted everything. And when Jake, to his credit, he knows who he is and what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes him so strong today. he literally said in his Hall of Fame speech that, you know, that he had a real talent and he wasted a lot of it. He goes, some of you got to see it, but there was so much more, you know, that I should have been able to do. Like Jake should be a fucking 10-time world champion.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But they couldn't afford at the time to put the faith in him, you
Yeah.
know, that he would be there. And, you know, in the war, once he got to the ring, there was nobody more solid, but on the way there, you know, and because again, Jake's one to me, he's on my Mount Rushmore, you know, as far as for wrestlers are concerned. And where he's at today is just amazing. You know, going back to that time when he had that shirt on, I said, you know, you also wear shirts with Charlie Manson's face on it.
Yeah, that's
I go, I'm like, would you ever want any of your kids to be hanging out with Charlie Manson? He's like, fuck no. I go, then why do you wear that scumbag shirt?
Yeah, right.
I go, he's such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know, he's the devil, man. I said, you really want to associate yourself with that? I said, you should have something like, I'm wearing a shirt today. It says positively, unstoppable. And I remind myself every day, my shoulder hurts a little, my back hurts a little. I mean, I'm icing my back right now from a kick-ass workout because I know I'm going to work that hard. I'm going to have to ice and take down the inflammation. You know, I said, you know, you should be seeing positive energy. You should be seeing unstoppable. You should be seeing, you know, just positive shit, man. You know, never give up, whatever. And he went up to his room, and 20 minutes he came down and he goes, I just got off the phone with Robert. He's one of our web guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I just designed a shirt with Robert. And he showed it to me. And it said, my history's not my destiny.
There you go.
And I was like, that's a great shirt, dude. You know,
Yeah.
that's a great shirt. You know, and today Jake is really doing amazing.
And you could see it too, just him coming across on AEW and stuff with Lance Archer and the promos he's able to cut and the chemistry that those two have with one another too. You can tell he's really making the most of it too, that whole everything going on there, which is, you know, great to see.
He was very happy.
Yeah.
You know, when Cody wanted to bring him in, but it was only supposed to be for 10 weeks.
Oh, really?
And yeah. And I think they were testing him, you know, just to see, because I told him he's good to go. Like, you're going to be okay, you know, whatever you want him for, he'll be there and he'll do a great job. And I don't know if they really believed it in the beginning, but bottom line is they do now. And you know, Cody loved having him around. That's the one thing about Cody that's super special. And Tony Khan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got a lot of respect for the guys that, you know, paved the way.
Yeah.
You know, and I've never seen him not treat a legend with the highest respect. I've never seen him to be anything but incredibly respectful.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah, that's what I love about it too, is anytime a legend comes in, whether it's you or Greg the Hammer Valentine or anybody, they always get a moment like that they acknowledge them, or like even on commentary, Shivani and JR, they'll always like reference somebody from the past that not necessarily a modern fan would know, but if you know the history of wrestling and stuff, their names get mentioned, and it's always a tip of the cap to somebody where it's just like, it's refreshing to see.
Yeah, that's where it's supposed to be.
Right. Exactly. Getting that rub, brother. So, also, yeah, something that's been really cool too is Darby Allin just winning the TNT title. And how has his relationship with you grown since you last wrestled in February, I think it was, and that now from what it all transitioned to, him and QT Marshall both in the mix right now.
Yeah, love QT. He's a great guy. I'm glad they gave him an opportunity. Darby, I met right away when he first came in, and I invited him over to work out with us. And he's been on a lot of the Jacked series workouts. He's a really good kid. I mean, we just did a Motivational Monday together.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it'll be out next week. And you know, you look at someone like Rey Mysterio when they first came in, they went, oh God, yeah, he's entertaining, but he'll never be a top guy. Like Rey Mysterio is one of the top guys of all time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he will be a Hall of Famer as soon as he decides to semi-retire.
Right.
But he opened the door for, and really it was Conan who made all that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Conan was the guy who brought really all the unbelievable young Mexican talent in, and Bischoff was the one who, you know, bought in. He was like, yeah, this is different. This is fun. This is a big part of what we want to do. And, you know, WCW was the first to do that. And of course, Vince has taken it to another level now. You know, because there's so much great talent that don't have to be 6'2" or 3 or 4, you know, and they're great characters and
Oh, kind of lost
you know,
you.
I say again.
Oh, there you go. You're good. I kind of lost you for a second. Yep.
And I said I think the kids today are so much more physically talented, like the unbelievable, you know, just risk they take. Darby Allin being at the top of that list, and
Yeah.
and I've been talking to Darby from day one. Like, you don't have to do all those bumps.
Right.
Like
Right.
the people love you, and you can stay down and sell more. And that's what over a period of time he's done. Now he's still doing his death-defying,
Like stunts and stuff like that.
yeah, well, just working wrestling because you know he's. But you know, the one thing, like he's worked out with me, got probably 20 times, you know, he said people, you know, think that, you know, I'm just a risk taker. Like, it's all about risk and reward. And Darby is, as much time as he thinks about what he can do and how he can pull it off, he also spends equal amount of time how he's going to rehabilitate his body. And one of the things is he's one of those guys that are, what do they call it? Where they don't drink, they don't do drugs, they don't do anything.
Straight edge.
Straight edge.
Straight edge.
He's one of those guys, you know. So when you take all, you know, the booze and the pills and drugs out of your life, and you're just putting real food in your body, you are more indestructible, you know. And if there was any guys in the NFL who really learned that, they would last so much longer, you know. But again, you know, I'm never going to tell someone not to have a cocktail. I would frown upon it if it was Jake, only because I know how bad he gets, you know.
Yeah, sure.
But he knows now, and that's the important part.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wanted to do a motivational Monday with Darby because, you know, he's like Rudy. He's like, I'm like we're me, him, Rudy, for different reasons. We're a lot alike that no one ever saw. Like, you're going to do what? You think you're going to be where?
Yeah.
Are you crazy? You know, and I asked Darby, I said, when is the first time you knew that you could wear the gold and be a champion? And he said his first night in the AEW, he knew he was destined to be there. And you have to know that. Like, I was talking to Dusty Rhodes one time, and he was my mentor, man. He helped me on so many different levels, mainly with the business end of it and the psychological part of the business.
Yes, yeah.
And I was bitching, and he just let me vent this one night. And I was saying, listen, I know I'm never going to be you or Rick or Hulk. I know I'm never going to be the world champion, but I just can't. Donneth, enough. And I probably was talking 20 straight minutes going into that. And he said, what did you just say? I said, now I feel kind of stupid. I'm like, well, I know I'm never going to be you or Rick or Hulk. And he goes, no, D, what did you say after that? And I said, well, Dream, they're never going to put the world title on me. And he said, then what the fuck are you in the business for?
You're right.
He's like, as hard as you work, if you don't see it, Dean, if you don't believe it, you need to get the fuck out of our business right now. And then he kept talking, you know, and I can't tell you a word he said after that, but I can tell you exactly what I did. And while he was talking, there was a pad right next to the phone I was using.
Mm-hmm.
And I grabbed the pad and I wrote on it, I will be the world champion in 5 years or less. And it was 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days when April 11th, 1999 came around. Now, the crazy part to me of this story,
Mm-hmm.
I said that 4 months and 14 days, 4 years, 4 months, 14 days earlier. What I said to him, I know I'm never going to be you, Flair or Hogan. Well, take Dusty out because he's, you know, not wrestling at that point. Put
Sure.
Sting there, and it's Sting, Flair, and Hogan. Randy
Yeah.
Savage is the guest referee, and I walk out the world champion.
Yeah.
If that's not some kind of manifesting a dream into a reality, I don't know what is.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
That's
it never really hit me till I started telling the story, and that's where I really thanked, because Ric Flair and I had a lot of, I don't call it bad blood, but we both got on each other. You know,
was it like competitive tension almost or something?
No, I was nothing. You know, and Rick was Rick.
Yeah.
and I don't think Rick at that time, and understandable,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he really believed in me. And, you know, why would he? I was, you know, by the time I come back, I wrestled for 9 months, tore my rotator cuff, and then came back and started working when I was 37.
Yeah.
So why would he think that, you know? Bottom line is, there was some tension there between us, and I really wanted to fix it. And I decided about 10 years ago, after he got the balloon drop at the WWE,
Mm-hmm.
we were both going to be at an autograph signing. And when he walked in the door, everybody swarmed him, you know?
Yeah, sure.
But as soon as it got to the end, it was just me and him. And I was like, hey, Nate. She's like, hey, Diamond. I said, can I talk to you for a minute? He's like, sure. So I pulled him off to the side and I said, listen, I know we've had heat with each other over the years. Oh, Diamond, don't worry about that, bro. I go, Nate, I'm not worried about it. I want to try and fix it. I mean, really fix it. I said, I don't know what happened between me and you. I know I said some shit. I know you said some shit. I don't give a fuck. I said, I love the Nature Boy. For me personally, I would love to start all over again. And I put my hand out and I said, I'm Diamond Dallas Page. And he gave me a big hug and a kiss on the forehead. And then we started to, like, whenever we were at TV, because I only show up once in a blue moon, he'd find his way to me and we'd be hanging and talking. And then when Dusty passed,
Mm-hmm.
we both ended up in the same hotel, way on the outskirts from where the I guess you'd call it a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
Like the odds that we were both there at the same time, and Dusty and him had some big heat, but they also loved each other.
Yeah.
They you know, the heat was probably ego shit at the time, but the bottom line is, man, Dusty loved Ric Flair and vice versa. And I really felt like Dusty put me and Rick together. and I almost went out of my way that night to thank him for putting me over on my first world title. But I thought, as I was talking to him and, you know, having dinner and drinking and just having a good time, I thought, I'm going to save this. I'm going to save that moment for when I finally go in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And I got to really thank him the way I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And I manifested that, you know. And I said to him, then there's Ric Flair. I said, you know, I stepped into the ring with the Stinger, the Hulkster, and the Nature Boy, you know, and I said, Rick, I said, it's not lost on me, that you putting me over that night put me one step closer to this podium.
Right.
And I said, I can't thank you enough, bro. And I'll never forget it. And later that weekend, we'd run into each other a couple times, just hanging out, talking.
Sure.
And but at the end, Monday night, he yelled to me when I was going to the elevator. He was at the bar and he pulled me over and he was like, what time's your flight tomorrow? I said, 10:30. He's like, damn, who booked that? I go, not me. And he said, you still living in Atlanta? I said, yeah. He goes, well, you're leaving with me, you and Brenda tomorrow. I was married to Brenda still at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, me and you and Brenda, he goes, I got a Lear jet. He goes, I'm flying you home in style. I go, Nate, I got all these bags. He goes, hey, fuck that. Go to the FedEx down there. It was in the same building as the hotel. He said, go to that FedEx. They'll ship your bags back. You have them tomorrow. He goes, you're going home with me. You're a Hall of Famer now. And he took me back, me and Bren back. And when he found out it was my birthday, then he took me out to dinner. And just it was like, I mean, it was the greatest ending of that whole Hall of Fame weekend. It was really amazing. And now Nate, I call him anytime, So that's my, just touch base with him, see how he's doing.
It's so wonderful too when stuff like that happens. Like when somebody makes the initiative to kind of like bridge that gap, whatever separation comes between two people or whatever, once you bridge that gap, a new relationship forms, and like it's just totally kind of anew and everything like that. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So
It's awesome. I got a great picture up on that wall with me and him outside his Lear jet and us doing the diamond cutter sign.
yeah, oh, that's badass. That's great. Would you say too? You mentioned Dusty and him being like the big influence for you, and I know like he's somebody that I really like, just admired and so much too throughout what he's done and the influences he's had on you. And would you say like you said he was a big business from the business aspect of it? Would you say Scott Hall is a big fan of him too? Would you say that's where Scott kind of developed his business acumen from it? Because he's super smart too, just like Jake and you yourself too.
Yeah, Scott really, really was. He was really smart. His whole ring psychology and stuff, and him and Jake, very similar. Not the same, but similar. Just had a real good grasp. There was so many things early on when we got together and I was managing him. He would tell me, "Dolly, you need to tone it down some."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is professional wrestling." And when they let me go as a manager, that's the reason why they let me go as a manager, because I was taking too much attention away from the wrestlers.
Oh.
With the hair and the clothes and the bling and the dolls and the rap. And bottom line is, as a manager, I was too over the top to be a manager. And Scott tried to tell me, and when it all fell apart, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because now I'm going to train to be a wrestler. And everyone, Michael P.S. Hayes that night, him and Jimmy Garvin fell down laughing.
Yeah.
And yeah, but that's okay, because that's the kind of drive I needed, to really, because I can't tell you, when I went down that power plant at 35 and a half, I can't tell you how many times I hit that mat. I said to myself, man, this fake shit hurts like hell.
Yeah, I bet.
Ain't nothing fake about hitting that mat. To say that it's predetermined, yeah, that's good. And it's a bit of a dance, absolutely. Is it physical as fuck? Oh my God. And that's the one thing I really worry about these kids today. Because I say these kids today in the most affectionate way,
Right?
But they're just such incredible risk takers. Like, I know no one has treated themselves better than I treat myself. Meaning, hyperbaric chamber, infrared sauna, steam room, hot tub, cryo machine, all in my house, beamer pad, like an inversion table. Nobody does what I did when it comes to healing my body, DDPY, everything. These guys don't do barely any of it, and they're young.
Yeah.
But when they hit 60, oh man, a lot of them are going to be in wheelchairs because you're not indestructible.
No,
You
no.
you feel like it when you're young. I just watched My All-American. It's Rudy. I'm working with Rudy now.
Oh, he was
And
there
Rudy's,
with Ted, wasn't he? Wasn't he working
Yep.
out with you and Ted? That's right.
Yep. And Rudy, the guy who wrote Rudy, he also wrote Hoosiers, and he wrote My All-American.
Oh, okay.
And
Is that Frank DeFord? Did he write that?
No, Angelo Pizzo did.
Okay.
And you know the just a story, you know, the overcoming adversity story. You never believe that. Like this one guy in My All-American, he's can't remember his name right now, but if you run out of the tunnel of the Longhorns, Texas, you run out of their locker room, right there before they head out is two pictures of this kid, and they all hit him on the way out because he was 5'9", $165.
Holy shit.
And the guy who dominated, and I guess it was 61 or 62, maybe it was 60, maybe it was 60, I don't know, it was somewhere in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just the greatest defensive back, but he was the backbone of the team, and nobody wanted to put him in a D1 school.
Right.
But there was a kid they really wanted who was playing with him, and they decided, because on the coach's word, you really want to see this kid. And this kid plays with pain. And that last year, like you can tell, but you're thinking, oh, well, he's just maybe, towards ACL or something.
Sure.
The bottom line is right before they win the national championships, they're undefeated, and whatever year that was. And his leg's really bothering him. And the coach says, they pulls him out, and then they need him out there at 100%. And somehow he musters his strength to go out there, and they pull it off, and they win the game. And there's 3 weeks before the Cotton Bowl. Mm-hmm. They're the national champions. They're going to play Notre Dame. And his girlfriend makes him go and get the, see the doctor. And then they do all the x-rays and the MRI. And it turns out that he's got a tumor on that leg.
Oh, shit.
And bottom line is, it was cancerous. And they had to chop his leg off from his hip down.
Whoa. And
now he's got 2.5 weeks, and he's like, I've got to go. I've got to be with the team. I've got to be there, for them to go against Notre Dame. But the doctor's like, there's not a chance in the world. Like, that's never going to happen. And because he just was so weak.
Yeah.
From the whole thing.
Yeah, right.
And one of his buddies, the guy who got pulled down there to play with, worked with him, and it was the kid did such a good job acting. You're cheering for him because he's hurting so bad, trying to use the cuffs in one leg.
Yeah.
And bottom line is, he gets there and he shows up in the locker room with the guys, and they have him walk out first.
Yeah.
The place go, boom, 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 with a cuff, hobble out there, and then the team runs in right behind him. But that no pain, no gain shit kind of works when you're younger, but it doesn't really. In the long run, pain means pain. And, bottom line is, if he would have taken care of that a little bit earlier, maybe they could have caught it early.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Right.
but he just like toughen up and push forward. And, like I say, I'm just glad to be able to work with Darby and a bunch of the guys who do, from AJ to, to Jericho. I mean, I've got some Drew McIntyre, the biggest names in the world do my
Right.
program.
And you look at all the diversity too with that, like Jericho being just turning 50, and then Drew being
Right.
like in his mid 30s, and Darby at his age too. It's like all this, like combining all that, and then going and building their bodies and taking care of their bodies. It's gonna just extend them further and further too.
And help them when they're done.
Yes.
If they continue to do it.
Yes.
Because it's kind of like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth, it's even if you do brush your teeth all the time, you don't floss them, if you don't do all the right shit, they're gonna fall out, and you're gonna lose them, and they're gonna get chipped, and blah blah blah. It's just a really hard, it's just a discipline. The discipline doesn't end when you're done with your professional sport, whether it be wrestling or football or baseball. That's when you have to really start to think about, okay, how am I going to still be able to do what I want to do as I get older?
Right.
Because now you got all these miles on you,
Yeah.
So
knocks you out.
One of the guys who I love, who actually turned me on to this whole BFR stuff, was Tommaso Ciampa. And after he had come back from the neck surgery, the first place he went was he came here for a couple of days.
Oh, nice.
And he brought these blood flow, restriction straps, but you'd pump them up and it would cut off the circulation. I didn't like that either. It was too much cut off, but it still worked. But then you had to and let the air out, then pump them back up, then let the air out. And that wasn't feasible to my workouts. Great for rehab or weightlifting, but not for something that it's a flow.
Yeah,
like my stuff is. So now that we've got those DDPY Jack straps, while I'm talking to you, I remembered I was supposed to send Tommaso the leg ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, he already does the upper body.
Okay.
He loves them. I'm going to send him them. I'm glad we talked about that. I got to send it to him today.
Make a note. Now, can you purchase those too on the website, the DDPY website, or where do you get the straps at?
You won't be able to get them for probably another 2 weeks.
Okay.
Maybe. I gotta. It won't be this week. Most likely next week. That's my goal. I needed to put up some videos of like how you cut this. How you make, it's like a longer strap, it's got Velcro, and it's a dial on. Like, I have to explain to you, like, okay, here it is. Here's how you do it. You unpack this, you get this, and it's a 20-minute video. It's really, really good. And then today I shot, okay, now you've made it. Now let me show you how to put them on, what to do. Make sure to dial, it has an extra turn on it, and here's what you do when you pop them. So I really broke down using them. And so I needed to have those videos up. And we didn't get a chance to go see them, but Dr. Andrews is the top doctor. When someone gets hurt, whether it's your quad, your knee, your rotator cuff, whatever it is, everybody WWE goes see Dr. Andrews.
He's notorious. Yeah.
But NFL, NHL, you're one of the top players, and he'll work on you then. His top PT guy, his name's Kevin. He uses BFR on everybody, and not everybody, but mostly everybody. And what he's using right now are my jacked straps.
Really?
And and we're going to interview him. We were supposed to do it 3 weeks ago, but shit got turned into a clusterfuck. We couldn't get to him. But he's a huge believer in the program and what we're doing. And I want him to explain exactly what it is. And I have a doctor who's also involved with him as well, who's a great ortho guy. And he developed that knee brace you see on all the linemen who play football.
Okay,
You
yeah.
can see they all got these big knee braces on. Him and this other PT guy, he's a doctor, but MD, but his PT guy together, they developed this knee brace that everybody uses. And they're another big guys who use the jack straps for rehab. So I'm pretty excited. I think in a year from now, I think it's gonna just help another thing take our company to a different level. You know.
Yeah, it's gonna keep moving and moving, and that's the neat thing about DDPY too. There's always new shit on there. You're always like getting new content. Even just me like scooping through and seeing the at-home workouts that you're doing. It's just great shit, man. It's great shit.
Have you read any of the not read but watched any of the Fabulous Facebook Fridays? Have you ever caught any of those?
No. I saw them going through though. What? Talk about that a little bit.
I tell people don't listen to a word I say about my program because everybody knows I'm always talking about it because it's real, because it works.
Yeah.
It's organic, you know. But I always put up Mondays, motivational Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
And I also put up cooking shows and then of course new workouts all the time. But I was going through Facebook, and this isn't my site. This is one that, you know, members just started. People who do the program.
Is it like a group?
Yeah, it's a group.
Okay.
It was a buddy of mine named Chris Gabriano actually started it friggin' 5 years ago. And it was, you know, a couple of guys on there who did the program, and they stayed in touch, talked on Facebook. Now there's 53,000 people there.
Holy shit.
And, right. And it's the most positive community on the planet. And there's everything from big boys and big girls who are putting it out there to people who have MS, to people who are really beat up and broken down, to people who have gotten through the whole program and are kicking ass.
You're right, yeah.
And they all help each other. And you know, I help so many people you could never believe I find a time. But I never stop working, but I never feel like I'm working. So that's the job.
That's when you're peak, man.
Yeah, when you never feel like you're working, I get a little tired because I do get a little, you know, when you're giving of yourself all the time, you get a little wore out, you know, it's emotional. And some of my stuff is like so strong, man. Like the stuff that people write me every day, I mean, is overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have it I never have it any other way. Do you know who Brian Alvarez is?
Oh yeah, absolutely. From Figure 4 Online, the Wrestling Observer. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So 12 years ago, maybe it's 10. Let's see. Yeah. 12 years ago, he asked me on an interview, so where do you see Diamond Dallas Page in 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, in 5 years, I will be known as the new Jack LaLanne meets Tony Robbins meets straight Richard Simmons. And I said, I really believe not 5 years from now, but 10 years from now, meaning back then,
mm-hmm.
you're going to start to see DDPY start to dwarf my wrestling career. And he was like, at the time, DDPY was nowhere. It was nowhere. It was there.
Was it Yoga for Real guys back then? Is that how? What?
Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's where it started, with yoga for normal people.
Okay.
And then I wrote a book called Yoga for Regular Guys. And in that book, it was guys, men, all shapes and sizes, and smoking hot looking women.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had fun with it. It was a little tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
And I used to say, YRG is, most namaste, most yogis are namaste. DDP, back then, YRG, way more T and A. And man, that would make people laugh. And And I meant it. I meant hot looking women. But but a lot of women started to love the program.
Yeah.
And I would say that, probably 38% of the people who invest in a program are women. The other 62% are men.
It's
And
it's a balance, man. I've seen it,
yeah,
like just evidence of it online and everything.
yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, again, it's like I said, I love what I do. Last question, bro.
Okay.
What do you got?
Yeah. So something that's usually around on December here, during the WCW days, was Starrcade, and something that I associated you with when I first became a really big wrestling fan was you in the United States title. You had your ribs were tapped up. You had a pair of blue jeans on. All that's the DDP that I grew up with. So,
Right.
but you you beat Kurt Hennig for that title.
Huge moment for me. Huge
Talk
moment.
about that a little bit.
Well, first of all, you have to go back to the AWA. That was in 1997. In 1988, I'm in the AWA as a manager. Kurt Hennig is a wrestler, and he's the champ. And we're sitting in the back locker room. Heels are on one side, baby faces on the other, and we're doing TV. And I've already done 3 TVs. I come with this big foot locker. I've got all my different outfits with me. I've got one of my smoking hot little diamond dolls with me. And Kurt is sitting across from me. And he goes, Diamond, do it, bro. Do it. I go, do it. Do what? He goes, come on, you know what I mean. Do it. I go, do what? He goes, good God. I went, good God. He went, man, I love that. Yeah. And we went to the bar that night and we talked for hours. And he told me that I will make more relationships at this bar than you ever will in the locker room. Yeah. He goes, this is where, we all bond, that and on the road. And he was so right. And we stayed in contact the whole time. We got big pushes, Mr. Perfect. If he came to wherever town I was in at the time, Fort Myers, wherever, he would take the time and we go out to dinner. He was a great guy. And then when he came in WCW and Kurt in WWE and AEW and AWA, he was unbelievable. I mean, he could do anything.
Yes, he could. Yeah.
And by the time he got to where we were, he was still great, but he didn't have that next level of ridiculous. I mean, he was a lot like him, Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, is a lot like Kurt, meaning that he can do anything. Mm-hmm. Perfect was perfect, and to get to work with him. But what was so cool is here's a guy who's a really good friend of mine, and in '97. Because he had sort of come down just a little bit with, just maybe lost a half a step.
Yeah.
I mean, like we were right there. And I thought, man, I'm as good as Mr. Perfect right now, And mainly because he lost that one step, because I was never as good as him in his prime, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just so amazing. I mean, you could touch him. I mean, and he'd fly. Wouldn't he barely touch? He'd fly over the top rope. And I would watch him. And this is how brilliant Kurt Hennig was. When he went over the top rope, he was still holding on to the top rope. Mm-hmm. Now, this is not what the boys do today. They just fly over the top rope at the ground.
Yeah.
He'd go over the top rope, still holding the top rope. And then as he's falling, he'd grab the second rope. And as he's falling, he'd grab the third rope. So instead of doing this, he did that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, he was brilliant, man. And I just loved. I mean, think about this. The guy who was probably one of the top IC champions of all time.
Yep.
Mr. Perfect. I get the strap, the United States strap, which is our equivalent, by Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
And the world champion is Ric Flair.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't get any better than that.
Oh
You
my
know?
gosh. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't get any better than that. You know, so I've had such a blessed career. There's certain things I would love to have done a little bit different, but if it would change anything where I am right now, I wouldn't want to change anything
Heck no. I don't
because
believe
everything that's happened to me along the way has brought me to where I am, and I'm the happiest. You know, I never really look at my age. When I was wrestling, when I first told people I was 35 and a half, they all laughed at me, told me I was crazy, so I stopped telling them.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I just started, people say, "Hi, DDP, how old are you anyway?" Because they didn't know. I say 29 again.
Yes.
And I would say that. And some people, you know, when I was in my early 40s, they'd be like, "You're not 29 again." I'm like, "Are you not 29?" I said again. I can't afford to think any older. But right on up until my 49th birthday, which would have been the 20th anniversary of my 29th birthday, I decided to flip it because I really wanted to own my age moving forward. And when people asked me how old I was that night, we had a good, real fun party, and everyone asked me, "So how old are you?" I'd say 12 months from 50. That's why I say 6 months from 65.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I want to own every milestone, and I know I still feel like I'm 40. If you ask my girlfriend, she'll swear to you I'm 30.
Yeah.
You know, and it's attitude, it's energy, you know, it's performance. You know, it's like I'm not preparing. For the last 5 years, really 8 years, I used to tell people I'm not preparing for 65 because I'll be here tomorrow, and here it is. Another 6 months, I'll be 65. But I've never been preparing for 65.
You're right. Yeah.
I've been preparing for 75, 85, 95, and even 105.
Yeah.
I'm preparing for that the way I live my life now. So,
Day by
you know,
day.
anybody who wants to see my program, you know the deal.
Yep.
Just, you know, go to DDPY.com, and right now it's 20% off on DVDs and 20% off on the app. And I recommend everybody get the app. But some people are like, "Well, I love DVDs." Like, get the DVDs then, because I'm going to give you 3 months on the app anyway.
Right. Yeah.
And then a lot of people get the DVDs and then later get the app. And
There's so much on the app. It's crazy. Like you said, recipes, different workouts, and like the archives too. You have all the stuff. But the DVDs I bought back in 2012, they're on there. So
yeah, they're up there. Everything. There's over 300 workouts, from lying in bed to super cycle workouts. I never finished. I'll finish with this, and then I'll head out. I always tell people, don't listen to a word I say about my program. Go to that DDP Yoga, one word, Facebook site. Read what people talk about, what they write about. You can't get people to chant your name in an arena.
Yeah.
They want to chant your name because they believe in you. Even though it's wrestling,
Yeah.
they still believe in the character.
Yes.
And it's the same thing on the internet. You can't get tens of thousands of people to write amazing things about you if they're not passionate about what you're doing. And that's what I tell people. Go to that Facebook site and read what people write. And what I did, I've been so blown away by it lately. I've just started to pick 1 or 6 short ones, like just shit people. Listen to this, and I'll read it and show pictures of them, and they're talking about, you know, the beginning of their transformation, or their first week, or look at, I could only get my foot here, now I can do this, and you know, everything is so passionate. It's freaking amazing. Baby, what time is it?
It is 3:25.
Holy shit, I gotta go.
You gotta go.
All right, brother.
All right.
DDPY.com. Own it, brother. Great to see you again.
Great to see you
as
too, man.
always.
All right.
It's been your pleasure.
Hey, thank you. See you, Dallas. Thanks, brother.